Hello and welcome to Sacred Democracy. I'm Maddi Cheers, and this is our Mother's Day special, Sacred Motherhood. And I have invited my family. So they are here to share with us thriving and surviving at this special time. So up in the upper your screen, it's kind of like the Brady Bunch isn't it here? The Brady Bunch that now I'm going to probably have to pay royalties. But we have Grandma Mary.
Yes.
Yay. And we have Marianne and we have Celia down there. And then we have Lauren and Harper. Lauren is my niece and Harper's my grandniece. Celia is Gammon to Harper, Grandma. And Grandma Mary is Grandma to many people, including me.
Thank you.
So very important people. Marianne and Grandma Mary are my adopted family, but very much a love of my life and very important in saving me through many, many difficult things, including the death of my parents, especially my mother, and then recently my dad. So Harper, because we know how much you love being on Zoom, we're going to go to you first. Is that okay?
Okay.
That's her. I love being on Zoom face.
But you don't have to be on the whole time.
Yes. We thought we would talk to you first, and you can give us the perspective of kids who are home all the time now, not in school. Okie dokie. So my first question for you, Harper, is what is your favorite part of being at home a lot?
Well, I get to be with my family.
Yeah. Is it fun?
Yeah.
How are things going with your little brother, Brooks?
Okay.
Okay. And what's your least favorite part of being at home all the
My
time?
parents get to boss me around.
Your parents get to boss you around all the time, huh? Does anybody boss you around if you're in school? No, nobody. Okay. Are you having fun though most of the time while you're home? So what are the fun things that you're doing with mom and dad and Brooke?
I get to play with my brother,
You get to play with your brother?
and sometimes we play a game and outside, and Haley and Logan come over to ride bikes.
Oh, cool. And you're dressing up a lot too, right? There's a lot of dress up going on, I notice. And makeup, I see. So, what is your advice for other kids that are at home, and there's millions of them right now who are at home? What do you think? Do you have any advice you'd like to give to them based on your experiences?
Well, that you can be with your friends. You just have to stay apart.
Right. Exactly. You know how far apart?
Maybe like 10 feet.
10 feet is good. Are you wearing a mask, or you guys don't have to wear masks?
We don't.
Oh, good. Very good. And have you guys had like special things you've done? Like I noticed there was kind of a special dinner the other night that Daddy brought home.
Yeah, crabs.
Crabs.
Yes. Lauren and Harper live in Maryland, and Maryland is famous for steamed crabs, for those of you that don't know. And Daddy was coming back from work, and he got to bring you guys a special early Mother's Day dinner, right?
Harper picked 5 crabs by herself.
Wow. Man, you're getting to be a big girl, a crab expert now, right? So
Dad, wait, every time I pulled out a leg, all the meat came out.
oh, good. Wow. That's amazing. A crab pop, right? You were good at that. So is there anything else you would like to share with us before I let you go back to play?
No.
Nope. Okay, Harper.
Office symbol.
What, honey?
Nothing.
Okay. Well, I love you. Gammon loves you. Mary Ann and Grandma Mary love you. Everybody loves you.
I love your dress.
I love you.
Love you.
Yes. So that's what makes the whole family thing work, right? All that loving.
Yeah.
True?
Say Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to you too, Lauren, back there. And you have fun with Mommy when I let her leave, okay?
Harper, I have a question. Harper, what is this thing Mother's Day? Why do we have Mother's Day?
Yeah, why do we?
What is that for?
Because we get to celebrate our moms.
Really? Why do we need to celebrate moms?
Because it's more kind and it makes them feel like you care about them a lot more.
So true.
Right.
Because most days, us moms feel like nobody cares about us.
Is that true?
No, we know you care. We do. How did you celebrate your mom, Harper?
We made coloring pictures and we also made her cards.
Oh, so
Take
special.
cards.
What did you go downstairs this morning to make me? What'd you go downstairs and you started making when Daddy came down to help you? No?
Bagel.
You made?
A bagel.
She went
made
downstairs.
bagel breakfast. Oh, the best
Wow.
breakfast.
She got her kid's knife and she cut the bagel in half herself and she started to put the cream cheese on.
Oh,
Didn't you? Daddy came to help you?
Harper, what's special about your mommy?
That
What do you
Don't
love
know.
about her? What do you love about her?
she's nice.
Oh, thanks.
yes.
If you could choose any mommy in the world, would you still pick your mommy?
I would pick the yoga line.
What in the what?
I get to be your gammon.
You would ditch
You
me
get
for
that
Grandma?
mommy too.
Good luck. I had her for a mom, and I'll tell you.
That's great.
I miss you.
Miss you.
Is that hard, missing all the family, not getting to see everybody live and in person? Yeah, it is hard, right?
Hello and welcome
Whoa,
to Sacred
sorry, guys.
Democracy. This is episode.
Sorry about that.
True Aunt Maddie's, we can't take it.
Technically challenged, right? Any other questions for Miss Harper?
Do you have any questions?
Yeah.
What?
Do you have any idea when is this going to end?
Aw,
Aw,
That's a good question.
it's a good question.
I wish we could say we did.
We don't know.
question.
We don't know.
But as soon as we can go to New York and visit Aunt Maddie, take Cameron with us and see Miss Mary Ann, we will.
Yeah.
It's hard not knowing, isn't it?
It is. It's hard for grown-ups too.
Yep. I agree.
Thumbs down.
Love
you done?
Harper.
Say bye.
She says,
Harper's like, I'm out.
Done. That's it, I'm out. We're gone. Oh, you didn't have the correct answer. The correct answer would have been tomorrow. Nobody had that answer. So,
"You have no information for me. I'm out of here."
right.
She's gone.
So, I really wanted to ask all of you this general question. What's worked best for you at home with the family? Like, what are some of the things that have worked great and some of the things that haven't worked so great?
Well, Lauren, let's put you on the spot since you're home with little kids.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I mean, we just make it to breakfast, then we make it to lunch, and then we make it to dinner. We make it to bedtime. So But seriously, I mean, it's good that the schools are providing us some sort of things. I mean, we're very I think we're lucky. Some people aren't as happy with it, but our schools are providing us, she's in first grade, so they're giving us basically like a daily checklist of things to do for each subject, one thing for each subject. And it gives me at least some guidance for a couple hours in the morning. And then we try to get outside if we can. I mean, I know it's like a joke, but I don't know. We're just trying to survive each day. And we do let our kids kind of go outside and ride their bikes. And if there's other kids out, we let them ride their bikes and talk to each other. We just keep their distance. If there's too many kids, we usually come inside or go in the backyard, but it's hard. That's the hardest part, is that kids, they just want to play together and they can't, and it's hard. It's just hard. And watching their little faces be disappointed and crushed that they can't just sit down and play Barbies with their friends is tough.
It is. It really is heartbreaking. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree too.
Oh, she's coming back.
So I think for me, just staying consistent and intentional with what I do in my time, going outside and getting fresh air is like fabulous for me. You know, it refreshes me, rejuvenates me. Sometimes I'll just sit there and sit outside. And when I've had a long day of work, which I've had a lot of these last couple of weeks, I just turn everything off and I go sit and I go really veg in front of some great show that I love to watch. And I allow myself to just be a bum for a little while. And tea is good too. I drink a lot of tea during the day. So that's how I get through. And, you know, just give yourself permission to veg out when you need to veg out.
And just to mention to you parents out there, Celia does an evening story reading and storytelling, and I'm there about once a week on Pumped Up Parenting. That's her public group, Pumped Up Parenting. And every day, without fail, at 7 p.m., if you feel like you want to hear a story or look at a new book or have somebody read to you and your kids, it's lots of fun. It's great. So that's every day at 7 p.m. on Pumped Up Parenting.
On Facebook.
On Facebook.
And Maddie makes her appearance too, once or twice a week, and does some of her storytelling as well.
So Grandma Mary, let's go from the youngest to the oldest. What's happening with you, my love?
I like my stay home.
You do?
I do. I have grandchildren that keep me laughing all the time. They're lighthearted and makes me forget all my business. And I have Marion and Rosalie. So the only thing I feel sometimes like I like to get out, but I have a backyard. And I think at this age, I'm enjoying my time home. I'm really spending quality time with my children.
Aw.
I like it.
Honestly, for Mom and for Pi, my dog, I think their quality of life in a way has really improved because of the amount of interaction.
Right.
And input. Like, we're always so busy going in different directions. And so now Pi gets tons of walks and playing and backyard time. And Mom came to live with me because my brother-in-law had COVID. And she usually lives with my sister Rosalie.
Right.
So she came and she joined the mix of my two younger children who are at home, Sage and Mary. And Sage is like a fantastic cook, and Mary is a crazy artist. And Grandma is, we call her the rosary prayer. She's praying for everybody every minute. So it is this sort of sitcom, like, premise almost within the house, like who you're locked down with, and this odd mix that we otherwise would have never been day in and day out with. And right? And I would say Mom gets such a kick out of the kids, and that helps me to take them way more lightly. to see that interaction. And I would say probably the thing that has gotten us through the best is this real acceptance of letting everybody have their own space, right? To do their own thing, to kind of come and go, because there's a lot of moods of the up and down moods that happen. I'm seeing, especially with my children, where they're fine with it, and then they are just so confined and angry and cranky and depressed. So it is a lot of ride those waves of the emotions of all of this.
And to receive all that love from them. They really
do. It's true. It's a different, you would be home alone a lot.
That's right.
Now you're home with family.
With family.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes those of us who have close families, like all of us, really lucky, is that we do get to experience all that love firsthand. We have funny stories we're writing down that we're going to come out with this, and some sad stories. I mean, I know that for you, Marianne and Grandma Mary, I know that the whole ordeal with Stephen having COVID was just
it was so scary, and then it affected his heart, and he had to go in for heart surgery, and that was like such a clear indication of when we're deprived of having the people that we love next to us, like not being able to go with him to the hospital, not be there in the waiting room during surgery. It was just striking how important that level of human connection is.
Right.
Makes all the difference.
It does.
I think that's one of the hard things through this. I know we're expecting our 9th grandchild in a few weeks, and not to be able to go and see her and her mom and my son, and really connect with the three of them in person, and hug them and help them, and that's a really hard part of all of this, that connection, that physical connection. You can connect through this, but I can't reach out and hug my daughter or my granddaughter,
Especially with infants, that initial skin to skin is when they are like knowing these are my people, like this is my clan, and you're not getting to hold that baby. I
know. Really.
It just.
And that was the hardest too when my dad passed was, thank God for technology. I was on FaceTime, I was on the phone, so I could be at the funeral, which of course everybody had to be at 10 feet apart. Nobody could hug or cry on each other's shoulder, and I got to speak, but, I couldn't be there. And it really is a big, big adjustment. And I really feel I still think that one of the great things is that as family, we have gotten closer. My sisters, this is one sister, Celia, but my other sister, Linda, and my brother, Ben, when he can stand it, we text each other every morning. We have devised many different references that start with Sib or end with Sib. We have a lot of very creative names that go with Sibyllinos or something like that. But we do every single morning. We stay in touch. We text throughout the day or call. So in a way, we are more in touch with each other than if we were back at work, if we were going down to see each other, or up here to see each other. But in another way, that loss of touch and in person and cuddles and all of that is you really start to feel that. You really do. And I think that that's what everybody's going through. And fortunately for us, we're going through it with a wonderful family. I really get concerned about the people that either don't have family or are homeless or are in family situations that are not so terrific as ours are. Our two families are we really are thriving. I mean, there's the tough part of surviving, but we really are thriving, I feel like.
And I think children that are in home situations where they don't have, thoughtful, patient parents, and their home situation is vital anyway, and then their safe place is school, and they don't have school to go to, and that's really concerning.
Yeah, very much so. And we have, my husband and I, Bob, went out and took a drive today. And, you go by all these places, you want to get out, you want to do this. I'm immune compromised, so I can't do that. Our cousin Jossie is watching. Hi, Jossie. She's immune compromised. I mean, all of us that really have to be careful. You don't have much choice except for the house, the backyard, and the car. That's like.
I hope that Bob was driving.
Yes.
So you could make it back. You get lost easily.
Yes, I do. That's true. Ask Bobby. I have trouble just navigating the comments page here. It took me, what time is it? 4:23. This will come as no surprise to Bobby. I just got on the page to see the comments and the people that are watching. So hi, Alyssa and Jossie. Thanks for joining us. So this will be no surprise to Bobby, who usually, if I'm in studio, can guide me there like the 1 minute before I go on the air. And now I've had to do it on my own. You would think after so many weeks I would have it, but no. So I'll get better. I'm coming in sooner than I have been.
It's good. It's a goal. It's a goal. We all need goals.
Right. Especially at this time. So I did want to go back to Marianne and Mary because, like you said, your mom, very strong in her Catholic faith, praying the rosary, and you guys do prayer circles every night, right?
We do. Uh-huh.
And it's very interesting because we combined, I set up the altars that it's really part of more of the indigenous tradition that I practice spiritually. And it is this beautiful kind of hybrid of my altar and your altar
right.
coming together in prayer. And when we sit, the Catholic tradition has a very set way of praying, of prayers. And sometimes my daughter Mary will come in and she'll just say, we've got to pass the talking stick, right?
Yes.
She's like, we all need to pass this talking stick. I cannot hear another Hail Mary. So it's like really working together in the prayer ritual. But what we always do is we pray for the transmutation of the virus, which is this intention of like, can it really move into something that teaches us we could all be better for it, our planet can be better for it, and we can move on, which I believe, it's interesting because it's Mother's Day, right? I think that is always the prayer of the mother, is to not destroy, but to take whatever is created and try to make it better. And I came across something about the origin of Mother's Day really coming from this political movement with women right after the Civil War, where the mothers got together. Of course, they weren't given the vote, women. It was the start of the suffragette movement. And the women came together. And Maddi, this will sound very familiar to you. They came together and said, it's really about mothers who would never allow their sons to go off and kill other people as a way of solving problems. We are part of one country. We may be from different places, regions, states, but the fact that there was a civil war and it was, let's get the mother power together, which they had to be influenced by the clan mothers.
Yes.
Because it sounded exactly like that. And I thought, oh, mother medicine, mother power, like Mother's Day, really coming to this heart of how mothers, creators, really look to preserve their creation. and the earth for their children. Like,
Exactly.
we have this beautiful Harper. When you grow up, I want you to have a beautiful, healthy earth to live on.
Exactly. And it's
So
getting
you
healthier.
can raise
right
your
now.
babies
That's
and
right.
animals,
Getting healthier.
whatever you want to.
Getting healthier by the minute with this virus.
Yep. The earth is.
Yeah,
So
the earth. The earth is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully we're getting healthier in our emotions, in our hearts and our minds. I hope that's happening too. It's hard sometimes.
It is. It is.
So
More gratitude.
more gratitude.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was listening to a TED talk by Laura Brayton, who is a woman that, let me just make sure I got her name right. Laura Brayton. And she goes into hospitals to do storytelling. And what she's doing really is doing it with the doctors and nurses. Now that her talk comes from before all of this started, really. But what the statistics she gave, and this is so interesting, is that 30% of medical students are depressed. 36 to 51% of doctors have an increase in their happiness and a decrease. There's a 36 to 51% decrease in their distress level when they tell their stories. So she teaches them to write stories. She teaches them to tell each other stories from their past, stories about what they're going through now. And that this simple storytelling, she said that if that were a drug for antidepressant, a 36 to 51% success rate would be like a mega drug.
Wow.
So she is the talk, which is only 10 minutes long on TED Talks, which a great thing to do while you're home doing nothing. And they have, if you're ever in that position like me, but they do have some really great stuff on there. And she was terrific. And she really was talking about how the storytelling to me is a way of having contact with other humans, even when you can't be in contact. So I thought one of the things we could all do, and you know this, Mary Ann, from being a writer, and Celia from being a writer, one of the things people should be doing is writing their stories. Lauren, you started your great diary, right? Of what's going on day by day with what you're experiencing at home, and even taking notes on history, the history making moments for now, right?
Well, I wouldn't go a diary, but I'm trying to like keep track of kind of things that have been going on so I can look back and remember, because everything's going to go by so fast, which I know, and especially we have kids, we have young kids. I mean, it's going by pretty quickly even now. So, it's just nice to keep track, because I don't want to remember only the bad things, but I also don't want to forget everything that happened. I mean, this is going to be a huge thing in our lives that hopefully we will never have to go through again when it's all said and done. But I mean, it's a big deal.
But I think that's important. And I think that was part of Laura Brightman's point, is we want to, what she encourages her students, for lack of a better word, and she does work with a lot of med students, but what she encourages them to do is to write about the vulnerability. What makes you feel vulnerable, not just what gives you joy. And a lot of what they write about is where the medical profession is now. She had a recording of one of her med students saying, I don't want to be the doctor that can only go in there for 15 minutes. I want to be the doctor that knows my patient's name. I want to be the doctor that knows her favorite movies, that knows her family, that can sit there with her when her family can't come in. I want to know my patients. So it's interesting that for these young med students, it's their biggest frustration is the way our conventional medical system is set up for doctors, and nurses actually have it better in that sense. They're the ones that get to know everybody, but the doctors want to do that too. They don't want to be restricted to this 15-minute time period that they have. And it's a source of stress for them.
I think journaling is so good for anybody, to start journaling, and it's good to get your kids to start journaling. And this is like a perfect time to have a family journal time. You can start a gratitude journal. Grandma Mary mentioned gratitude. You can start a gratitude journal together, and everybody write one thing they're grateful for in the journal. And you can do it in the morning and read it again at night before you go to bed. But journaling itself, and recording things down is so relieving to the soul. And, if you have things you're angry about, writing them down gets them out of your, head and onto paper, and you can move on.
Yep. Alyssa Montez, who joined us, says, know the patient. She put the no in there. And she agrees, writing about your vulnerability, because those stories are powerful. And when we come out of this, the stories will connect us, as they always have for years.
It's also, it's a time of discovering our resilience in coping with something that isn't just quickly disappearing. And everything has a story, right? So the picture on the wall has a story, your tattoo has a story. But being Mother's Day, like, our stories all begin with our mother, because that's where our life begins.
Right.
And if we focus in on thinking about a story of our mother and a kind of obstacle she had to face in her life and how she transcended it, and telling that story, that then opens up the legacy of resilience and survival. So, like, if I think of you, Mom, my mother lost her mother very young, and she was left to take care of her siblings. And she carried on and took care of them and created family. And so for me, there, within that deep grief, is this strength to carry on for the sake of family, for
Yes.
the sake of the whole circle. And I've had to go back to that many times in things, especially when my marriage ended, to be able to feel like, oh, this is shattering, but I have to carry on for the sake of the children and the circle that's more important. So if we think about that, like even you, Maddi, I remember when your mom died and you talking to me about her, and just her level of kindness and peace throughout any type of storm, like equanimity. If I think of Cynthia, that's what I think of. And like, wow, can I invoke that quality that my mother embodied, because it's also in me somehow to get through a difficult time. So just being Mother's Day, it's a thought.
Right, you learn a lot from your mother.
We learn a lot from our mother.
And
We
being
do.
home with Marion and Rosalie, they have a lot of qualities like me.
Break on those.
How did
That happened.
I see it in them.
You become your mother in one way or another. Oh, no matter what.
No matter what.
And a wonderful mother you have there. Actually, Grandma Mary was the one. I was in women's circle when we lost Mom, and I came out of it, and you two probably remember, I just like fell to the floor when I found out. And having you there, Mary, to hold on to, and it just meant everything to me. It was just.
I have to tell your family that I love Maddi. I truly love her. I love her stories. I love when she does the circle, and she's very special to me. I get very excited when she comes and visit Mary.
And every time after a circle, my mom always says, like Maddie's way honors the elders.
Yes, I love
like
that.
And in our culture, being old, there's such a feeling of being expendable, right?
That's
like even with this COVID, there's
She
been
always
that kind of
honors the
feeling.
elders. Yes.
Yeah. especially right now. We're like the most expendable. You know, I mean, everybody's saying, well, you know, we could all go back to work, and if the old people get sick, oh well, you know, they're almost out anyway. You know, I mean, like that's one of the
They're that close anyway.
Right. Don't hold the rest of us back. You know? But that's a really good point, is that this wisdom that comes from our elders is exactly what gives us the resilience. I think about my grandma Foreman all the time. Literally, when I'm up against something that I feel like I can't deal with, I think about her having to stow away on a boat at 14 years old just to get to the United States, you know, and being successful, getting through Ellis Island. Nobody threw her back on the boat and took her back or found her.
No, a
grandmother.
Wow.
She was very small. She snuck in. They didn't see her.
But and I just want to share with Alyssa. She said something really great up here. Oh, family journey time. And I think that's a really interesting thing. Like you were saying, Celia, if the family writes, like, that's a great question. What is this journey like? What is this journey we're all on together as a family? I love that idea, journeying.
Well, it's like Lauren said, if you know, she writes down every day because it is their journey, you know, during this. You know,
I just want to hold on one second. I do not write every day.
Okay.
I want to keep that up, because one of the things that I feel like is very hard for parents, especially with young children, is out there that they should be doing all of these specific things. So I don't want to put it out there for anybody that sees this, that I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old and I journal every day. I do not, by any means. Some days we watch TV all day. Like, some days we're more productive. Like, it's hard. And this is a very hard time. I was actually talking to Mom before this about just what we're going to do for the summer, what we're going to do in the fall, like how scary it is and how I don't know, can't even plan for it, and what to do with each of that, you know, the kids, and you don't want that. I mean, it's hard. So whatever anybody's doing is good, and you don't have to journal every day. If you want to, sure, and you want to keep track of it, sure, and you want to take pictures. Mostly I'm using more pictures than journaling because that's just easy for me to kind of keep track, and it keeps a memory. And when I go back and look at them, I'll be able to see, like, oh yeah, that day we did this or whatever, because I'm not a writer by any means. But it's hard for every age group and generation, but for the parents like me, because I can only speak to that, with young kids that are just trying to survive and hope that their kids don't turn out like a bunch of big dummies because they watch TV for 8 hours every day for 5 months. Just do what you can do. Like, do the best.
They won't. And you know what? That's a very common fear, though. And I'm sure, Marianne, you also have heard this from parents like I have, is they're so afraid their kids are going to become stupid. They won't, you know, they'll go from whatever grade level they're at now, and in 4 months, they're going to have to start all over again because they won't have the brain power. And that's simply not true. I mean, your kids will not stop developing and
they
learning.
They won't. But everybody that says, let your kids watch TV and let them have tablet time, it's fine. Like, I'm all about that. My kids get TV, they watch tablets, they do whatever. Like, but before all this, my kids only got tablets 1 day a week. That's it. They did get more TV and whatever, but they had to, you know, pick together and whatever. But now they get a little more because it's just so much time. Like, it's just a lot of time. And sometimes they're tired of it and teaching them school, and it's hard. But for my kids to be on spring break and watch TV for an entire week straight, who cares? I don't care. But for my kids to be on this like spring break for 6 months straight, like, then you start to get concerned and you want to make sure. So then every morning you wake up and you're like, you know what? I don't care. They're watching TV today. The next day you wake up and you're like, nope, we're going outside. We're riding bikes. We're taking a walk. Like, we're checking out nature. We're going to discuss it. We're going to write a paper on it. Like, I don't know. Whatever you're doing is,
it is hard. And you know,
hard.
Like we were talking about earlier too, that What what were we talking?
It was like an hour ago.
It seemed like, so I was just going to come out with this thing.
So close, right there.
It'll come back around.
It'll come back.
Yeah, well,
Talk amongst yourselves.
but I'm
I don't know, Mayor. Just tell them a little bit about who you are, because some people
Sure.
have seen you before on the show and some haven't.
So I am the founder and owner of Spark Elementary, and we have kids from 2-year-old as our youngest program up to 5th grade. And I am concerned too, Lauren. I'm really concerned about our kids and the impact this is going to have on them. We're doing interactive Zoom schools, so they're actually seeing their teachers, they're seeing their classmates. But I think about my little ones for next year, and our parents ask, what do you think? Should we sign up if we're going to be virtual? And honestly, 3-year-olds should not be on Zoom all day. But it's about social and emotional interaction. For my K to 5s, if we get back in school, I think I'm going to have to triple recess just because of the need for that kind of social interaction. But there'll be limits on social distancing. And I'm already seeing it in my work with the community that our kids are getting anxious about what's coming because they feel it too. Like, this isn't like just a summer vacation. Like, we're getting almost beyond the point of what summer vacation feels like. So there's definitely a sense of how is this going to impact the development of our children.
Yep.
The-
Well, that was
Kids want to get back to school. I asked in my group, ask your kids, do they want to get back to school or do they not want to be in school? And every parent that responded to that post was their children want to be in school. Some parents said, well, half school, half home. But every child was ready to go back and have that social interaction, with their friends and that environment, that educational environment that they don't have at home.
Yeah.
And the other thing is things that we used to use as reinforcers, right? You get to have your tablet, you do this piece of your work, you get to watch your TV show. Like, we've kind of lost that when it just is open. So I think it's also going to be a period of confusion and just adjustment.
Right. And what I was going to say is when Lauren and I were talking before this, I was telling her about a parenting article I had read. And there were all these questions for parents. What should we do? What should we do? What should we do? And the entire article referred them to online kid sites. And I was like, so disappointed. I was like, well, we don't want them just online all the time. You need to be outside playing. You need to be having fun. You get all worked up or they've sat there for 20 minutes working on a school program, then turn on some music and dance for 10 minutes. And then they can go back. I have clients that are like, well, they work 8 hours in school. Why don't they work 8 hours at home? It's a different environment. It's not the same world. And, and I think parents have to recognize where their children are coming from, recognize their emotional development in all this, and recognize the fact that kids they are not equipped to handle this kind of situation, whereas adults are. I mean, sure, being unsure of what the future is, we don't feel comfortable. We're stressing out. But kids really don't, 3 times more than adults, because they don't have the tools to cope like we do.
And Carolina Allen, I had on last week 3 homeschooling mothers, and they all made a very good point, is that they have been homeschooling for a long time. This is a choice they made. So they have their curriculum per child. This is already set up, they have, if you're like Carolina has 7 kids, so she's going, she's got these curriculum, she adjusts for each child. She's got a community of people that homeschool, that work together. So like she even said, there are days when I'm home homeschooling and I'm like, I'm losing it today, but she's got someone to call and she can go, whoa, what are you doing in this situation? So if you're already homeschooling, it's much different. And one of the things she really wanted to tell parents who have never homeschooled is kind of what Lauren said, like, don't stress over this. They'll catch up. You'll figure it out. That something will happen, but don't let people tell you that you have to do this, and this, because it's not homeschooling the way homeschoolers do it. So you're not going to be as prepared as they are. They can help you. I mean, they're very generous, and if you want to call them, but they also don't follow a public school curriculum or even a private school curriculum. Their curriculum is developed much more for their individual child. And it's more of a natural learning pattern in many cases where, if this kid takes 2 hours to figure out the math problem, that's fine. I have all year with my kid. And she was also pretty clear, and the other moms that were on were pretty clear about this. There are days when their kids only go to school, like the academic stuff is only 3 hours,
right?
And then they're going out on field trips, or they're in the backyard, or they're involved in sports. So their kids are sort of more geared even to a year-long school kind of schedule, because they can fit in their vacations whenever they want. If dad is working and he's got a 2-week vacation, and that's when we go on family vacation, that's when we go. They don't have the same restrictions as people who are in public school. So she just wanted parents to feel at ease. She was very clear on this. Don't feel like you're going to get this overnight. It's not that easy.
Right. And I actually have
Go ahead, Lauren.
I know a couple people that homeschool their kids, or that have friends of friends or whatever, and they've even reinforced or said things that are like, this, what we're doing is not homeschooling. Like, homeschoolers go on field trips. They have groups that they meet up with. They have other kids. They have socializing that goes on with general homeschooling. I mean, this is not homeschooling. This is isolated schooling. Like, you are isolated and the kids are isolated, which is the point, of course, but to have everybody compare themselves to homeschoolers and thinking that's what you need to live up to is also not true. And even the people that I know that are homeschoolers are saying this is hard for them too. They're not used to it. They go to the library, they go places. Like, it's hard for everybody.
Yep.
And parents are working remotely.
That's too.
Our parents are working. They're showing up and having to have work brain on, making sure schooling stuff is taken care of, daycare.
Right.
It is an enormous thing to have to hold as a family, and especially with when our parents are also working remotely.
Mm-hmm.
So there is this strain. One of the things that we really put our minds to in the curriculum was thinking about the kinds of things that can be created, because creativity is ultimately the skill that you want to keep alive. That's it, because those who are creative will survive, whatever happens. And so we've looked at folk art studies, people who make things out of stuff throughout the ages that were just around their house and what it represented. We're doing a Claim Your Spark project, which is, what do you love to do? And you just daydream about things like that. And can you create a goal and a project with it? And that our kids have been working on for about a month. And they're hitting this wall of, this is hard, even though I love it. Like, yeah, that's what, even doing something you love, you are going to hit a wall. It's going to be hard to actually come up with the finished project. So those types of learning. We have a whole section just dedicated to observation of nature, like go out and track the moon every night. Pick one bush in your backyard and take a picture of it every day and see what happens over the course of 2 weeks. Things that are here that they can be observing and not disappearing. We did a whole lesson just on the daydream. What is a daydream? What do you daydream about? How do we take those daydreams and put it into our play? So trying to keep our humanity, and then the service projects. Our kids have loved making the cards that get sent, to the workers, putting the chalk drawings. Kids love to be of service, of that sense of somehow bringing some love to the world. So if we can keep that going, we keep their humanity alive. And that I feel like is what I'm worried about, is their shutdown.
Yeah.
So I think that there is going to be a lot to take care of when we come out of this.
Yes. And I'm hoping that the powers that be are patient with us. I mean, New York is very chaotic in its schooling, and parents and teachers are very frustrated here in the public school arena, because there's either too much pressure on parents and teachers to do something, or some districts, they're getting nothing at all.
Right.
So the idea that we can just go back instantly like this and it's done. Okay, everybody back to where we were, is just never going to happen. And even if we ultimately get there, I'm hoping that the people who have power understand that they're going to have to be patient with us. And if they're not, we're going to have to demand that they're patient with us, and that they're going to have to hear our voice. This whole push and shove going on, this whole division about, do we go back, do we not go back? The founding fathers didn't want us to destroy our economy so that we could, about a disease or about an illness. I'm trying to remember the post that Bob said he saw today. I mean, the founding fathers dealt with big diseases. And they didn't want their people to die either. There was a plague. There have been these huge earth-shattering diseases. And if you read the writings from that time, people are sad and upset, and they don't want, it's the same reaction. No matter when somebody lived, if they could have figured out a way to avoid it, and they did, there was isolating. There was, it was worse than what we're seeing, because at least the majority of us have homes to isolate in when we have this technology. A lot of times back then, everybody that was sick got thrown in a building and they all just died, So, and you had so much poverty back then, so it's not like human beings haven't dealt with this forever and ever, but we are dealing with this. And hearing everybody's voice, like we're trying to do today, is reassuring, I think, to the people that are listening. And it's also reassuring to us.
Well, and I think that the mother's voice, and especially mothers like you, Lauren, who are right there in it with the 3-year-old and the 6-year-old, like the mother's voice needs to rise, because already we're hearing in New York, Cuomo saying things like, we got to reimagine schools. This is kind of outdated. He's partnering with the Bill Gates Foundation. Technology may really be the way. So I'm hearing this, and I think you're partnering with Bill Gates about technology. Like, where are your child development specialists? Where are your parents who are weighing in on what they want for their children? Please reimagine education. It needs to be reimagined, but reimagining it, if it is going to become just a virtual experience for most of the time, might not be what moms want for their kids. Might
Exactly.
not be
And
what
I think
dads want. And moms and dads of school-age kids are going to need to keep their ears carefully open, because we're all going to look forward to getting back and have some normalcy. But big decisions are going to start to be made, and shifts are going to start to be made in the future of education.
And let me just
also, I think the
that-
go ahead, Meg.
Well, I was just going to add on as far as Bill Gates and all of this technology stuff goes. Bill Gates was instrumental in the national core curriculum, which
Yes.
has failed miserably. Even he admitted it failed. And why? Like you said, no child development specialists, no teachers,
No mothers or
no
fathers.
mothers or
Right.
fathers, no community meetings, nothing. It's
And-
like a dictatorship.
And the thing is, we are social people, and children learn best through play. And when that is eliminated from their school, half of their learning is eliminated from their school. They have to learn to get along with each other. They have to learn conflict resolution. They have to learn compassion. They have to learn respect. They have to learn all these things. And if you're learning all the time looking at a computer, you're missing the majority of what you need to learn to become a wonderful adult. You know, I tell parents all the time, we're not raising children, we're raising adults.
Right.
That's what we're raising.
Racism.
And if you're not working towards what your child is going to be when they grow up, you're missing the point of parenting.
What'd you say, Grandma Mary? What was your comment?
They're raising robots.
They're raising robots, right? That is what they want to raise. That's exactly what's going on. I mean, you know, we talked a little bit last week about John Taylor Gatto's work and what he found out about the direction of the planned society, and you had the planned education system that fit into that, so that we could have employees, so that the people in power could stay in power, give us just enough education that we could be good employees, but not enough education or self-confidence to say, hey, you guys are out of here. You're wrong. This time you're listening to us. And that's what we're going to have to say, us mothers, us grandmothers, us aunties. We're going to have to stand up and say, no, we're not doing this your way. How about you listen to our way now?
We're not the Stepford wives.
Right. So any last comments, ladies? We've got like a minute. I'll take the talking stick around. Grandma Mary, Mary Ann, any last words?
Say, Grandma. Well, what I like to say about mothers, that God has given me the gift of being a mother and a grandmother, and I really appreciate. I love being the role that I play, and I love all the attention I'm getting, because I want to walk out the door, they're screaming, "Get in here! You can't go out.
Where's your mask?
Where's your mask?"
Okay, guys, we are at time. Those are wonderful words to part on. I love you all, and all my audience, I love you too. Thank you for joining us on this Mother's Day. And I wish you, all you moms, aunties, stepmoms, grandmas out there, a very, very, very happy Mother's Day. And lots of peace, lots of love, lots of joy, lots of unity.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Yeah.